Global News declaring an NDP win tonight based on the polls that have reported so far. Jagmeet Singh taking that seat in Burnaby South. That means that the fate of the NDP leader has been secured. That road to Ottawa made clear by Burnaby South tonight. Let's get reaction from Richard Zussman at the NDP headquarters tonight. Richard.
Yeah, Sonia, they've turned the TV screens off because they're getting ready for Jagmeet Singh to walk in here. So you're not hearing the big cheer, that's why. But Jagmeet Singh is going to be the next MP for Burnaby South. We're being told he'll be here in about 2 minutes' time. He will walk in, no doubt, to a massive cheer. Assembled on the stage are supporters of Jagmeet Singh's. MP Jenny Kwan will introduce him to the crowd here, and then we'll hear from the new leader for Burnaby South. So now that this by-election is behind Jagmeet Singh, Sonia, all the focus is on Ottawa and what he can do there in terms of building his profile, because clearly Jagmeet Singh, not a household name yet in this country, but he will have an opportunity to do so. The federal budget coming up in March, that's a big chance for him to communicate the NDP vision and how they would do a budget differently than the governing Liberals. And then the session will continue through the spring until the early summer, and then off they will go to their ridings. And for Jagmeet Singh, it will be off to every fair barbecue that he can possibly find in Canada to try to meet as many voters as possible. So a big hurdle clear today, Sonia, by Jagmeet Singh and the NDP. He will be here within the next few minutes to see this crowd, and then we'll have an opportunity to ask him some questions about what he's going to do next and how important this victory was. But clearly, Sonia, a good night for him, but we'll find out what he thinks about that loss in Outremont for the NDP and what that means for the party across the country.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Richard, because I'm just going to go over to Keith Baldry. I think that his work has only just begun. Keith?
Yes, certainly good news. Congratulations to Jagmeet Singh. He took a chance coming out here. He's not from Burnaby, of course. He's from Brampton. He was criticized as an outsider, a parachute candidate, but he worked hard, and he's going to be the next MP for that riding. But I'm not one of these people who thinks just because you go to the House of Commons and you get a little more media attention that all your problems are solved. He's got a branding problem with himself, particularly in Quebec, which is crucial to the NDP's chances of building on what they already have in the next election. As we mentioned many times this evening, he's lost a lot of incumbent MPs who aren't running again, so he loses the incumbents advantage. They're polling terribly with him as leader in Quebec. David Akin has pointed out a number of their seats obviously are imperiled going into the fall election. So he's got his work cut out for him. But I note in Burnaby South, the People's Party actually got a respectable 10 points. Presumably, that's from the Conservatives. And I think that is good news for the Trudeau Liberals in a province like BC, where I think that People's Party may resonate in the old Reform Party circles, the Federal Reform Party, which used to do quite well in BC. And that may hurt some Conservatives in some of those tight ridings that they want to contest with the federal Liberals. So great news for Jagmeet Singh, but I think tonight, for them losing Outremont, the NDP glass is more half empty than half full. Okay. They can look on this as a positive, but there's a negative tonight as well. Okay,
thank you very much, Keith. I'm just going to throw it over to David Akin in Ottawa. Keith saying it's great news for Jagmeet Singh. I wonder whether it's great news for the whole of the NDP, David, because I was hearing that there were some rumours that some people may vote against him who are NDP, because that was one way of shifting him as a leader and getting somebody else in. Do you think he has what it takes to cut it in Ottawa?
Well, I'm looking at my social feed, some New Democrats, other politicos, and they say, oh, bad news that they lost Outremont, and bad news in Burnaby South, they're stuck with Jagmeet Singh as leader. There was certainly some people in the NDP caucus who were hoping that a loss in Burnaby South would give them the opportunity to change leaders. Such is not the case. The big winner tonight, Justin Trudeau and the Liberals. You asked earlier, Sonia, why did Trudeau and the Liberals want Jagmeet Singh to win? I'll tell you why. Because the Trudeau Liberals have been extremely vulnerable on their progressive flank. They essentially lied about electoral reform. That was a promise very important to progressive voters. How are they doing on climate change? Well, they're still using Stephen Harper's climate change targets. Oh, by the way, if you haven't heard, they bought a pipeline that's emptying into Burnaby. Those are just two issues. We could talk about pay equity. For progressive voters, very disappointed with the Liberals, Jagmeet Singh and the NDP should be hoovering these people up, and they're not. So the Liberals know that. They feel they're safe on the progressive flank. Meanwhile, what about the challenge from the right? Look at tonight. Andrew Scheer has got this new party, the People's Party of Canada. Maxime Bernier is going to be crowing. They're going to start to build momentum. Sure, they only took 2% in York Simcoe, but in some tight races, 2% is all it takes. And here in Burnaby South, they're in double digits. That is going to get some notoriety for Maxime Bernier and his policies, and Scheer's got to deal with that.
Okay.
Tonight, the Liberals are the winners. They pick up a seat in Outremont.
Right.
Justin Trudeau, he's happy tonight.
Okay, Mike MacDonald, I'm just going to bring you in with David there. Like, do you agree with everything he said?
Well, I think you're right. It's a big pickup for Outremont, David. But the Burnaby results are a bit of a setback for the Liberals in that they're not at the same popular vote they were in the by-election, in the general election in 2015. So, I just wonder if it's a bit of a sign that Justin Trudeau is not infallible, and that maybe the results in Burnaby do indicate that there's been some slippage, maybe perhaps over the last few weeks because of the issue with Jody Wilson-Raybould or other events too. So I'm not sure if I'm a Liberal I would necessarily jump for joy about what I'm seeing in Burnaby South.
Yeah.
Well, and if I could just add, I think David provided a really good list of all the things that the Liberals are not delivering on for
He's still
progressive
there,
voters.
actually. Yeah.
So, that is a really good list of things that are frustrating for people that maybe voted for Justin Trudeau in 2015 and don't see action on climate, on reconciliation, on electoral reform. So has Jagmeet Singh picked up those voters yet? No, not yet, but campaigns matter. We have a number of months until October, and I think there's a real opportunity there. And there's been a shift with him winning tonight and with the problems that we're seeing in the PMO right now.
David?
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And the one point I'll just pick a little bit with Mike, again, Burnaby, pipeline. Liberals still got 27%, even though there's a pipeline right next door. So I'd say it could have been a lot worse for the Liberals. I think it's really, really bad for the Conservatives. As you know, that riding had a lot of Conservative voters, Burnaby South, in the last 3 or 4 federal elections, and they just aren't there anymore.
I think Liberals are probably happiest seeing how Andrew Scheer did tonight in terms of Burnaby South and Outremont. So,
Okay.
that's their big fight coming in October.
I'm going to